Paul Joseph Revere was a Union Army officer during the American Civil War whose military career reflected both personal courage and a strong sense of patriotic duty, inherited from his distinguished family. The grandson of Revolutionary War patriot Paul Revere, he grew up within a legacy of national service that shaped his outlook and responsibilities. Although his life was brief, Revere participated in several of the most important campaigns fought by the Union Army in the Eastern Theater of the war. His service culminated in his death from wounds sustained during the Battle of Gettysburg, a pivotal moment in the struggle between the Union and the Confederacy. Paul Joseph Revere was born on January 10, 1832 in Boston, Massachusetts, into one of the city's most historically significant families. His grandfather, Paul Revere, had achieved lasting fame during the American Revolution for his role in warning colonial militias of advancing British forces prior to the battles of Lexington and Concord in April 1775. The Revere family's reputation for civic engagement and patriotism remained strong in Boston throughout the 19th century, and this heritage influenced the younger Revere's upbringing. Growing up in Boston's intellectual environment, Revere received a strong education and eventually attended Harvard University, graduating in 1852. During his time at Harvard, he developed relationships with classmates who would later become fellow officers in the Union Army. After graduation, he entered into the family's industrial and business enterprises, continuing the long tradition of commercial activity associated with the Revere name. Prior to the outbreak of the Civil War, Revere also participated in local militia organizations, which were common among young men of his social standing in New England. These organizations served as both civic institutions and military training grounds, providing participants with basic knowledge of drill and military organization. This experience would later help prepare him for service when the nation descended into civil conflict. The attack by Confederate forces on Fort Sumter in April 1861 marked the beginning of the American Civil War and triggered a surge of patriotic enlistment throughout the northern states. Like many young men from Boston's educated elite, Revere quickly volunteered for military service. He was commissioned as a major in the 20th Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry Regiment on June 1, 1861. The regiment soon became known informally as the Harvard Regiment due to the large number of officers and soldiers who were alumni of Harvard. Commanded by Colonel William Raymond Lee, the 20th Massachusetts was assigned to the Army of the Potomac, the principal Union Army operating in the Eastern Theater of the war. During the early months of the conflict, Union forces were still organizing and training their volunteer regiments. Many officers, including Revere, had little prior battlefield experience, and the realities of modern warfare would soon test their leadership and resolve. Revere's first experience with combat occurred during the Battle of Bluff on October 21, 1861. The battle took place along the Potomac River in Virginia and resulted from a poorly coordinated Union attempt to probe Confederate positions near Leesburg. Union forces encountered strong Confederate resistance and soon found themselves trapped against deep riverbanks with limited means of retreat. The engagement turned into a chaotic and costly defeat for Union troops. During the fighting, Revere was slightly wounded and captured by Confederate forces. His brother, Edward Hutchinson Revere, and Colonel Lee were also taken prisoner. Following the battle, Revere was paroled and later arranged for a formal prisoner exchange that allowed him, his brother, and Colonel Lee to return to Union service. This experience marked a dramatic beginning to Revere's military career and introduced him to the harsh realities of the Civil War. After returning from captivity, Revere rejoined the 20th Massachusetts as Union forces prepared for the Peninsula Campaign of 1862. This campaign, commanded by Union General George B. McClellan, aimed to capture the Confederate capital of Richmond, Virginia, by advancing up the Virginia Peninsula. Revere's leadership abilities brought him to the attention of higher-ranking officers during this period. On September 4, 1862, Union General Edwin Vose Sumner appointed Revere as Inspector General on his staff, granting him the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. Serving on Sumner's staff exposed Revere to the broader operational structure of the Army of the Potomac and placed him in close proximity to several major battles of the campaign. Among these engagements were the Battle of Glendale and the Battle of Malvern Hill, both of which occurred during the 7 days battles as Confederate forces under General Robert E. Lee pushed Union troops away from Richmond. Despite the intensity of these battles, disease posed an equally serious threat to soldiers. Like many others serving in the humid and disease-prone environments of Virginia, Revere eventually fell ill with malaria. The severity of his condition forced him to take a leave of absence and return home to recover. After regaining his health, Revere returned to active duty and accompanied General Sumner during the Battle of Antietam in September 1862. Fought near Sharpsburg, Maryland, Antietam became the bloodiest single day in American military history, with more than 20,000 soldiers killed, wounded, or missing. During the battle, Revere was wounded but survived the fight. His conduct during the engagement earned him recognition from General Sumner, who cited him for distinguished service. However, the battle also brought devastating personal loss. Revere's brother, Edwin, was killed during the fight, a tragedy that deeply affected him and his family. The death of Edward Hutchinson Revere underscored the profound personal sacrifices made by many families during the Civil War. In April 1863, Revere was promoted to the rank of colonel and placed in command of the 20th Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry. This promotion represented a significant milestone in his military career and reflected the confidence that his superiors placed in his leadership abilities. Revere rejoined the regiment in June 1863 near Falmouth, Virginia, just as Confederate forces under General Robert E. Lee began moving north into Union territory. This campaign would ultimately lead to one of the most famous battles of the Civil War. The Gettysburg campaign brought Union and Confederate armies into Pennsylvania during the summer of 1863. The Army of the Potomac, now commanded by General George G. Meade, moved north to intercept Lee's invading army. The two forces collided near the town of Gettysburg on July 1st, 1863, initiating 3 days of intense fighting that would become one of the most significant battles of the war. The 20th Massachusetts played an active role in the battle, fighting as part of the Union line, defending key positions around the town. On July 3rd, during the climactic stages of the battle, Colonel Revere was struck by a shell fragment while leading his regiment into combat. The wound proved severe, and despite receiving medical aid, he died the following day on July 4th, 1863. The death of Paul Joseph Revere at the age of 31 marked the end of a promising military career. Revere's story also symbolizes the continuation of a family tradition of national service. As the grandson of Revolutionary hero, he carried forward a legacy of patriotism into one of the most critical conflicts in American history. Today, Paul Joseph Revere is remembered as both the descendant of a Revolutionary hero and a dedicated Union officer who gave his life during the struggle to preserve the United States.